With Monster Hunter World Iceborne releasing on PC in the next few days, along with the recent release of Safi Jiva on PlayStation and Xbox, the latest installment of the acclaimed series looks to be going strong well into 2020, most likely 2021 as well. Hey guys, it's Prometheus. Slight slip up in the video. Monster Hunter World Iceborne was a few weeks out from releasing when I recorded this, so please excuse that error. With that said, enjoy the video. Iceborne, being developed by Capcom's second Monster Hunter team, freed up the main dev team to begin working on the next title. That being said, the Osaka team is likely well into pre-production, so what do I expect from the next entry into the series? Keep in mind that these ideas are only general ideas for what I'd like to see, so if you agree or disagree, let me know. So, to get started, I want to talk about every player's second favorite topic, weapons. Monster Hunter found its stride in its unique weapons that appeal to just about everyone, from great swords to bowguns. This considered, it's a wonder we haven't seen any new weapons since Monster Hunter 4 for the Nintendo 3DS. With assets and a bunch of monsters already added to the new engine, I imagine the devs would have a bit more freedom to expand on this. In fact, looking at the last game in the series, Monster Hunter Generations, 2 new weapons were already planned to be added but were cut mid-development. These concepts are really cool and I could absolutely see them making a comeback and fitting in extremely well. These are called the Hunting Hound and the Wyvern Boomerang. The Hunting Hound was, according to translations by Silicon Era, that I'll link in the description, a ranged weapon that had a player commanding a dog instead of a traditional weapon, where the player's inputs would issue different commands, such as following the tail, targeting the legs, etc. In addition, it could also be ridden around the map, similar to the Tail Rider Safari system that we already have in World, while requiring things like feeding to maintain its health and stamina. The other weapon is called the Wyvern Boomerang, which was a heavy weapon that could be thrown, with each button corresponding to a different throw. For example, X would throw forwards, A would do a circular returning throw like a traditional boomerang toss, and X plus A would throw it upwards to target flying monsters. Interestingly, according to the storyboard seen here, combos would have the hunter actually punch the boomerang back at the monster instead of throwing it, so I can imagine the field day the artists were having running these ideas by Mr. Ichinose. Obviously, we've got an absolute boatload of weapons here, so let's actually talk about the monsters you hit them with instead. So, I think we need to begin by addressing the elephant that should be in the room, Leviathans. By this point, most of us have seen that alpha footage with Legiacruz that was cut due to issues with the skeleton, so given the popularity of monsters like Mizutsune and Legiacruz, I'm confident that the devs are probably going to give it another shot. But in terms of what I personally expect for the next game, I feel like after adding so many heavy hitters for Iceborne, like Tigrex and Brachydios, Capcom is probably going to fill out that mid-list tier of monsters, like Hangalala, Quechahuacha, and Nerskilla. However, despite my love for classic Monster Hunter, I believe that after Iceborne, Capcom should begin focusing on new monsters again. In Base World, we got great new monsters like Nergigante, Xenojiva, Odogaron, Basilgeuse, and Anjanath. While I love all of those fan-favorite monsters that were brought back, with Brachydios and Glavenus being my personal highlights, there weren't that many new monsters, subspecies withheld. Bonboro, Namiel, Velkhana, and Shara Ijivaldo were some of the most fun I've had with the series in recent memory, and I'd hate to see the team start to rely on nostalgia to sell their product. In terms of release schedule, Capcom has actually been pretty consistent, looking at the time gap between the announcements of Monster Hunter games at least. 4 Ultimate was announced in January of 2014, Cross in May of 2015, and World in June of 2017, with Iceborne and Double Cross's announcements being the major exceptions, being announced in December of 2018 and October of 2016, respectively. But considering those are both re-releases, the numbers mainly point to mainline titles getting announced in the first half of the year or so, with a roughly 6-month time gap to releases. So if we're looking at a timetable for a new game in the World style, then I'd likely place an announcement around another E3, let's say E3 2021. Considering the amount of content that could be pulled over from Monster Hunter World, I imagine that it would be much easier to develop than its predecessor. The devs at Capcom have been on an absolute roll for the past few years, with all the games they've been bringing back, so I have absolute faith that whatever they show off in a few years' time will captivate our attention just as well as it captured my attention back on the 3DS. Thanks for sticking through the video. If you enjoyed listening to me talk about Monster Hunter for a bit, then make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more content in the future. In particular, I'll be covering some content from The Legend of Zelda, so if you enjoy that, come on by again. With that said, have yourselves a damn good one, and see you next time.